Everyone, Art Trading here. Welcome back to the channel. Just going to go over the setups I took for the week and the reasonings behind them. So I would be 4 for 4 for the week. I did have a little bit of a rookie mistake on Monday, which I'll go over, but overall solid week. I did hit goal, which is about 1.5%. So just going to go over the setup. So diving into Monday. We did have Monday was just an uptrend day with shallow mitigations, but I was able to actually snag a short. So it was completely counter trend, but just to show the reasoning behind it. So right here, you have the 1 minute, the 2 minute, and the 10-second chart right here on the right. So on the 1 and 2, as you can see over here, we did have a fail to close. So usually when a high gets swept and closes back in the range, that becomes a fail to close. So that happened on the 1 and the 2, as you can see over here. And then we had a CSS flip on both the 1 and the 2. So the 1 minute closed below this low right here, 2 minute closed below this low, and created a very nice 10-second zone / move origin, which was classified as the last move up that created that zone. Okay, now typically I do like the move origin, but this was the only zone that did make sense because it was the closest associated with both the 2 minute CSS and the 1 minute CSS as well. There was really nothing in between. Even if it closed below this low right here, I still would have anchored it off this low over here. So create this 10-second zone / move origin, close below, a little bit of accumulation over here, tagged me in, took a little bit of heat over here. Now the issue is on this one, what my mistake was, I was leading with an eval account, not my PA account, because on Friday PM I was trading with evals and I forgot to switch that off. So one of my evals was actually on the lower side, and that stopped me out, which actually took out all my PAs at the same time. So it wasn't a full loss. It took it out like right over here. But this would have been just a straight win because it took some heat and then dumped down straight to TP. So a little bit unfortunate, but lesson learned. What are you going to do? All right, now moving on to Tuesday, August 13th. So this was another 1 for 1. Kind of took a while on this one until 11:30 Eastern, which typically is around my max time, but I did see it forming around that time anyways. So for me, if it didn't give entry, I was just going to shut it down for the day. Now, another uptrend day, a very strong uptrend day, actually. We did get this 1 and 2 minute fail to close over here. So sweeps this low right here, closes back in the range, both on the 1 minute and the 2 minute. Now, on the 1 minute, we did have this close above these highs over here, which actually created a 1 minute zone as well. On the 2 minute, we actually had a fail to close without a CSS. Now, if this was a counter trend, I would not take this. But the fact that we were in a very, very strong uptrend with really shallow mitigations, I mean, just looking at the 1 minute, I was pretty confident in it. If it stopped me out, to me, that would just been like, I got lucky with picking a top. But in this case, it just made a lot of sense to me. So we have this 1 and 2 minute fail to close, 1 minute CSS as well. Even on the 10-second, we had a fail to close over here. So it closed back within the range. Strong displacement through this high over here, which was closely associated with that 1 minute CSS, which would be up here. So that would be the zone that would make the most sense. You could argue that there was this move origin right here, which would have tagged you in as well. That would have given TP, but I just went with that intermediary zone and the zone closest with the CSS. Now it came in, tap, took some heat on it a little bit, and then went straight for that TP right there. Okay, so fairly simple trade. Good patience throughout the day. Other than that, really, nothing that was very clean. I mean, you could have probably longed every 1 minute or 10-second zone that you came across that on Monday and Tuesday, but I would rather prefer waiting for, those particular setups. All right, now moving on to Wednesday. Wednesday was actually a pre-market, which I personally love pre-market trades. If I am on, typically if there's some sort of red folder news, or I do happen to be on the charts around like 8:45, 9 a.m. Eastern, and I do see something that's a plus, I will take it. And usually if it's a TP, then I'm just gonna be done for the day. Take my one and be done. So going off this is around like 9 o'clock Eastern. We did have the 1 and 2 minute fail to close, as you can see over here. So 1 minute swept above, closed back within the range, same as the two. We did confirm a 1 minute CSS flip right down here. The 2 minute did not. Now for me, if the 2 minute swept this low and had a fail to close, I would be a little bit more hesitant taking this. However, since I didn't meet, 3 out of the 4 criteria, the fourth criteria being a 2 minute CSS forming as well, I was more than okay with taking this. Consider the fact that we did have a strong displacement out of this zone. So we do have move origin over here, but with this intermediary zone, that is mostly closely associated with that 1 minute CSS. So I had a strong displacement through, a little bit of accumulation, not a whole lot. Tag me in right here, and then within about like 25 seconds, hit straight for TP. So to me, this zone just made a lot of sense, especially after that sweep. We were technically in a range as well, as you can see on the 1 minute. We were in this range, so shorting at the top of the range before going at the bottom of the range was ideal as well. So definitely, in my opinion, an A setup. Now moving on to Thursday. Thursday I did not take anything. I was flat. I wasn't on pre-market on this one. And just in the AM session, really nothing set up. It was just a slow grind up the whole day. But I do want to go over this one in pre-market. So kind of the same concept as Wednesdays. You did have this 1 minute and the 2 minute fail to close. So swept this high right here, both closed back in the range. 1 minute CSS flip, not on the two, but the low was still intact, which is nice to see because typically once you get a fail to close on that high, this is automatically going to become a weak low, same as the 2 minute right here. Okay, so I usually prefer that the low remains intact and getting entry before that low gets taken. But just to kind of go off this example, so this would just be a straight move origin. Entry would be right here. Okay, entry's right there. Usually like to put one tick above the high just in case you get that 100% mitigation. Same thing as Wednesday would have been entry, and geez, you probably would have been out of this within 10 seconds, if that. But same exact concept, as you notice, like just throughout the trades I've shown, nothing has really changed. Just a 1 minute or a 2 minute fail to close with a CSS flip, or at least a mix between the two, works really well. Even with this one, technically, I would say this was a counter trend trade over here, because after news we just kept pushing up and up. But it's things like this with the counter trend where I don't try to pick tops, but if it's a very high probable counter trend trade where you're only trying to get this small section right here in profit out of this whole move, then you're definitely okay with taking counter trend trades. So moving on to Friday this morning, pre-market trade, which, like I said, I really enjoy pre-market trade, especially if it's a win, because that just means I'm done for the day. So you're gonna notice a pattern here. To me, this was an A+ setup. So we have this 1 minute and a 2 minute fail to close. Let me take this out so you can see it better. So 1 minute swept this high, closed back within the range. Same thing as the 2 minute swept the high, closed back within the range. 1 minute CSS when it closed below this up close candle right here after making the high. Same thing with 2 minute close below this up close candle after making a high. So 1 minute fail to close, 2 minute fail to close, 1 minute CSS, 2 minute CSS. To me, that's an A+ setup. Actually, on the 10-second too, you did have a fail to close as well, which is always nice to see, but it's not detrimental for it to happen that way. So created this move origin, and this low right here was the low that was closely associated with both the 1 minute CSS, as you can see here, and the 2 minute. So even though you could have anchored it off this low right here, which would have been TP, and this low right here, which would have been TP, this to me made the most sense. And if it's a move origin, that to me, that's even better, an unmitigated move origin. So this was really fast. But put my limit order, one tick above on the high, 1-to-1, tagged me in, and I don't know what happened here, but then I just saw my TP icon go off, and I was out. So easy as that. It was probably within 10 to 12 seconds on that one. So as you know, it's like within throughout the week, Aside from Monday's technical mishap, so that would have been 4 for 4 for the week, which in my eyes is perfect. Typically my goal for the week is 3R, so about like 1 to 1.5% uh for the PA accounts. And I just enjoy doing that. I'm keeping it one a day, whether it's a win or lose. I know that my patience is definitely worked on a lot, where I know that I'm only gonna be waiting for the A plus setups. To me, it just makes the most sense. I'm not going to take anything below that, because I see the power and also the confidence in me pulling the trigger when it is A or A plus setup as well. So hopefully that helps. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below as always, or ask away on our Discord with AP or myself. And other than that, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy your weekend as well.